Would you give your debit card to a random stranger? Probably not, right? So, why do we let people spend from our energetic bank without limits every day? Today, we're going to talk about energetic boundaries and how to protect your energy with some tactical tools and things that we've learned that help us along the way.
Welcome back, everyone, to Seek and Surrender. We're back for another episode. I'm one of your hosts, Rosalind.
Hi, and I'm Kay. And today, I'd like to kick this episode off with a question for you. The
Yes.
question is: would you give your debit card to a random stranger? Probably not, right? So,
Probably not.
the question really is, why do we give our energy? Why do we let people spend our from our energetic bank without limits every day?
Yeah,
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about energetic boundaries and how to protect your energy with some tactical tools and things that we've learned that help us along the way.
totally. Yeah. No, I love this topic because I think it's something that you kind of hear when you're getting into the spiritual realm and you're dealing with energy and you're kind of becoming more aware of like, why do I feel this way when I'm in this environment or around these people or and so when you become a little bit more introspective, you're like, oh, like I think some of this is my doing. Like I'm not just the victim in this environment. I can help myself kind of heal and keep my boundaries so that I'm protected,
Yeah.
more
And
level.
I feel like too, like some places or people that we enter that space, we walk away feeling, like, drained,
Hmm.
versus, like, really having the ability to feel empowered, and protected and not, like, letting your energy just kinda leak out.
Hmm. Definitely.
Mhm. So, one of the first things I wanna talk about are, like, shields, if you will, kind of, to help you set up boundaries for your energy, and there's different kind of shields you can set up. There's, like, body shields, um, tech shields to protect you from technology, and then also, um shields, like, with space. So, the first one, body shields. You could do things like, of course, grounding yourself, energy, placing your feet on the ground. There's many different ways that you can do that. Um, Another thing is, like, it's kinda like a visual metaphor, but if you put a cloak on energetically, if you imagine putting a cloak on, and that cloak is, like, made of mirrors, and on the outside of the cloak, it's just kind of reflecting everything around you. So if someone's putting their energy off onto you, you can imagine if you have that cloak on, it's being reflected back onto them, and it's not really coming into your field. That's kind of a fun one I like to do, if I'm dealing with someone who has very, like, overpowering or just very intense energy. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good one to do. Another one I like to do is, like, a gold light armor. So, like, as if, you're wearing armor, but it's made of, like, pure gold light or white light, and that just helps me feel, like, very protected, like, there's a barrier between my energy and my surroundings. I like to wear that armor, like, if I'm going into a meeting or if I'm speaking somewhere publicly, that also that helps me feel, like, grounded and protected for sure.
Yeah. I love those. I have definitely used a couple of those before. And I think, too, for people listening, when we talk about using these kind of body shields, we're talking about like taking a few minutes, kind of sitting, visualizing, imagining that you're putting on that cloak. I know I've done kind of like a version that's like a sleeping bag almost. Like, I don't know, I just see it as like or like a onesie, I don't know, a golden kind of like thing that I see myself zipping up. And yeah, like just being really aware before you go into an environment where you know I might have um easily influenced uh energies here that might affect me and just visualizing and really I don't know, believing in your intention that you can affect your own protective, yeah, shields, guards against what you're going into. I think in this work, you might hear a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm an empath. Like, I just take in everything." And sometimes you hear people that are just it seems like they're overwhelmed by it. And so I think these visuals of these body shields is like a step 1 to saying, "Okay, believe in your intention, believe in your word, believe in your visualization that you can affect how other people's energies are influencing you when
Mhm.
you get around any and all."
Yeah, for sure. And I think a shield, like an energetic shield that a lot of people always throw around is aura, your aura.
Mhm.
Um, but there are ways to, like, really strengthen your aura, cleanse your aura, and really help it, um, like, be a natural protector for you.
Mhm.
I'd like to, like, show you an example of, like, kind of like a meditation that you could do, to kinda run your energy channels and cleanse your aura and,
Yeah.
just make it strong.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be kinda like a quick almost like a guided meditation, and you can come back to this if you're ever feeling like you need to ground or just really protect your space. So the first thing you wanna do is sit comfortably straight up, either seated or in a chair. Take some deep grounding breaths, and imagine you're sitting on a tree stump. And that tree stump, you're going to drop a grounding cord. And that cord is going to go all the way through the earth, down into the ground, all the way to the center of the earth. And there is like this white grounding light that neutralizes all the energy that flows there. And imagine that grounding cord is just kind of pulling you, anchoring you into the earth. And then you want to sit with your hands, with your palms facing up. And while you're grounded there into that cord, imagine that Mother Earth energy is coming up from the ground and coming up through your feet, up your legs, up your body, and it's coming out of the centers of your hands. And just let that residual energy, after it flows through your body, come out of your hands. And then you want to imagine a white light coming from the sky, coming down into the crown, the base of your skull, and into your body. And let it run through your body, down your arms, and then let that energy also come through the palms of your hands. And both that white and green light are mixing. And what's left over, the energy that's coming from your hands, let it wash over your aura that is around you. And maybe your aura is a little cloudy or not as colorful as it might usually be. And let those two lights wash over your aura and let it drip down into that grounding cord until your aura is bright and vibrant. And then you can release yourself from that grounding cord and kind of go about your day. But I love doing that to kind of just really reset my whole like energetic system.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really powerful visualization, and I think bringing in both energies, both the really grounded energy, but also the higher mind, higher white light energy from above, I feel like that really mixes to, um, yeah, just clear and protect, like, you've got everything coming in to clarify and
Hmm.
protect your energy for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have
And
anything
one
else for like body
Yeah,
or
actually, when
shielding?
something that came to mind was this random thing, and I'm trying to remember where I saw it, somewhere online, the endless places of online. Um, there was a study done of, I don't know if it was looking, I know it was like a work environment, and I can't remember if it was looking at like leadership and employees like under that leadership. But they were looking at the stress hormone, and they could find that. And I guess I bring this up just to reiterate how real it is that you can physically feel other people's energies. Like it's not just a, oh, energy, oh, aura. Like there's literal chemicals too that are like
Hmm.
coming off of the skin. But they found that um, there was a distance, I think it was like a couple inches or something like that, where the stress chemical was coming off of the skin of the leader in this
Mm,
environment. And the people around them were then becoming stressed because they were taking in that energy, but they were literally their bodies and like the magic of our sensory and like a neurological communication within our bodies was picking up on that chemical. And so they were then taking on that energy, which in a way you think back to like hunter gatherer
yeah,
primal,
exactly.
like that is a very survivalist instinct that we
Mhm.
needed, um, that we just don't need as much anymore. But our
Yeah.
bodies are constantly talking to each other, which is fascinating. Um, but something to keep in mind, like it is a legitimate thing when you're around people and you feel like you're receiving their energy. So yeah, I think just going back to the more energetic realm of, what we were just talking about of these body shields, every little thing helps to ground yourself, protect yourself, and really work with your own energy. But yeah, I thought of I need maybe if I can find that, we can put that in the notes of the
Yeah,
episode because
that's
it was
cool.
fascinating just to
Mhm.
think like you're not making it up. There
Yeah.
are really chemicals coming off the skin that are impacting like everyone you're around. It's just interesting.
I think too, when you're the recipient of that energy, like, if you're feeling that stress, but you're not sure where it's coming from,
Mhm.
that instinctual kind of stress where it's kind of like, for the group coming from the leader, I feel like it's always, like, super intense too. It's like life or death, because it's like
Yeah.
this primal instinct, and you don't know where it's coming from, so you think it's you, think, something's wrong, but when you learn really how to protect your energy from that, from being so, like, I guess sensitive. I mean, everyone's sensitive to it, it's natural, right?
Mhm.
But when you learn how to really, um, protect yourself and know where it's coming from, it's a lot more manageable.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. Super fascinating.
Mhm. Another thing I think is, like, technology. We're around all these gadgets every day, and it is one thing that could potentially, like, kind of leak your energy from you, And not just, like, the actual gadgets themselves, but, like, the people that come through those. Like, for example, like, getting notifications all the time
Mhm.
and being bombarded by, like, people when they're not really physically around, that could be taxing. I don't even wear my Apple Watch anymore because it was too overwhelming, just, like, all the notifications and overstimulation, yeah, I don't wear it anymore because of that. But, like, think just little simple things like putting your phone on do not disturb, or I think you could even do, like, a custom do not disturb message, which is cool, and, like, when you open your phone, like, if you're at work or doing something or trying to sleep, like, all those colorful app logos and everything, it's like a dopamine hit, right? So there's this thing on your phone where you could, like, put a grayscale on, so everything is just black and white, and you're not as drawn to your phone, um,
Yeah.
so it doesn't, like, suck the energy from you. So that's a really cool tool. And you can also put all of your apps, like, on page 3, so they're not right there on page
Mhm.
1, and you're not just opening your phone and subconsciously kinda it's not like autopilot, right? So you have to, like, scroll and be conscious of what you're doing. Um,
I love that.
yeah.
I love the watch thing. I used to have a Fitbit and I did the same thing. I was like, I am no one needs to know this much about well, I don't need to know this much about my body on the one
Yeah.
hand. I mean, it's
Mhm.
great, right? They're great tools, but I was like, is this really helping me? Because after a while it was like overwhelming, like you said, and the notifications and all the calls and all the things. So I stopped wearing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. The phone pages, my first page on my phone is nothing. It's just a
Mhm.
very nice picture of something that I think is pretty. I think it's like a photo from Sedona right now or something.
Mhm.
But and yeah, I don't have some of the like social media apps on any of the pages, like so that I have to actually go in,
Yeah.
search for it. Because it is our phones have become like part of our brains and
Mhm.
we just yeah, we have responses to, like, the energy that we create when we're interacting with it.
Yeah.
I'm sure kinda same thing too with your computer. It's a little bit I feel like less so than your phone that's, like, drawing you in a way, but yeah, technology, we definitely have to protect ourselves in a way from so that we're keeping our energy more balanced.
Mhm. One of my favorite, notifications on the Apple Watch was like, "Oh, are you stressed? Your heart rate's kinda high." I'm like, "No, I'm chilling," like, but now I'm kinda worried, you know?
Am I gonna die? I don't
Right.
understand.
Man,
Yeah,
I
for
miss
real.
that
All the
thing.
notifications. Or when it would guilt you and it was like, "You haven't stood up in a while."
Right. It's like, "Why don't you go walk around and close your rings?"
Yeah. "Ah, leave me alone."
Yeah. Um, and then going into, like, spaces, right? So, like, um, whether that be, like, your home, your office, your car, like, um, any space you can kind of, like, clear or ground, so that way you can kinda, like, have an energetic boundary with that space. What I like to do is, when I used to work at an office, before I would arrive, I would kind of imagine that space in my head and then kind of ground that space. Kinda like, before what I said, like, with the tree trunk and kind of grounding putting a grounding cord under it and just kinda, like, grounding that energy, but you could do that with spaces too. So I just kinda ground the energy of the space, and then when I would get there, it was kinda, like, neutralized. Um,
Mhm.
or if I'm walking in somewhere, I'd like to, like, ground the space or my home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I would say that that definitely works, and I would, uh, ask anyone listening to think about, like, if you do meditation or any energy work, you think of the rooms in your house that are the rooms that you designate for that. And just think of, like, even how that compares to the other rooms in your home. I feel like the places where you cultivate the energy with your intention and you do these exercises in frequently, like, you can feel the difference when you walk into those spaces. So, yeah,
Yeah.
like, definitely if you work in, like, an office environment, just sending that type of similar balanced, healing, golden white energy to those spaces before you're there
Yeah.
could definitely shift how you feel when you're in them.
Yeah. I think it deserves, like, a tidy up every now and then, like your
Mhm.
spaces that you frequent, because it's kind of like with anything that gets messy, like after a while, it kind of starts getting to you in a way, like
Yeah.
affecting you energetically, like, oh, things are really messy. I want to like, and when you clean it up, you feel a lot more expansive and better. But that happens a lot with energy, like whether it's actually inside of our bodies or in our space, like clearing up that energy, um, does a lot for I mean, not only your energy and how you feel, but, like, even your mental health, you know?
Mhm.
So,
And I
like
think too of,
Mhm,
like, sometimes when you there's, like, a lot of guided meditations when you are trying to ground and, like, either you're clearing your chakras or you're just clearing your energy. A lot of times people prompt kind of at the end to call all of your energy back to you.
mhm,
And I think it's important to remember, like, your spaces in your home, your spaces in your office, at your work environment, wherever you're at. A lot of people are coming in and out of that. Like, you're having conversations on the phone, over email. People are coming to talk to you. Like, energy is moving a lot when you're in those spaces. And so I think, yeah, what you said is super helpful to just do a tidy up, whether that's just kind of lovingly thinking like I release any energies from this space, in love and light, and I call all of my energy back to
mhm,
this space because we're dropping our energy everywhere too. And
mhm.
it's important to, yeah, like align and recalibrate in the spaces that you frequent.
Yeah,
And I love the idea of the car too. That's a
mhm,
good one.
yeah,
I'm going to do that.
mhm. Do you have anything else for, like, cleaning your own energy or, like, I know you're into, like, cord cutting.
Yes.
Mhm,
Lately, I've been doing a lot of guided meditations about releasing cords. Um, I think often we don't realize how easily we connect into other people. And sometimes, with the best of intentions, that you have like a really close relationship or, just friends, family in your life that you're often interacting with, you connect cords. And sometimes they're not the healthiest. That kind of makes this bridge of energy that moves a lot more out of your control in a way. And there's just this beautiful act of just releasing those cords and not worrying that you're no longer connected to those people. You know, as we are all kind of in this soup of divine energy, we're always connected to all things, but kind of in the highest form of that. And so when you release these cords that are made either from fear or obligation or, attachment, any type of attachment or story, or this is my best friend and even just that, like when you release the cords, the stories, the attachments, that really does bring all your energy back to you and gives you kind of like a good aligned place to exist from. And again, knowing that you're all still connected, but in the highest frequency.
Mhm.
I do that a lot because I didn't realize how often my energy was being placed elsewhere and and sticking.
When you do that,
So,
like, do you visualize something in your head when you're doing that, like, for the cords? Like, do you cut them? Do you pull them? Like, or do you
yeah.
find that they are on your actual body?
Yeah, I spend some time, just getting into that really kind of like released and surrendered state and meditation, and really just letting kind of like what we walked through earlier, kind of running that energy and just getting into a really relaxed place. And then I um, kind of prompt myself, to say something like, allow me to see where I might have any cords or attachments within my chakras or aura or anything like that. And usually, if I have been feeling blocked or kind of misaligned, like your brain will lead you to a place within your body
Mm.
and kind of give you like a, over here, right here, kind of little pinpoint, a little light to follow. So yeah, a lot of times to me, it really does look like some type of cord, some type of thing. A lot of times it's at my chest, like my heart space. Um, and what I often visualize instead of like cutting, because, a lot of people, and even Yolanda kind of talks about this. Cutting, you're still kind of leaving something behind.
Mm.
And so she often says, imagine just it releasing, like from the
Yeah.
root of it, or
Mhm.
dissolving. You can kind of imagine it just completely dissolving, disappearing. Um, Always for the highest and greatest good of both people involved, because it's you that feels it, but it's also the other person.
Mm.
And so you want to always leave that in a very positive and loving place. So yeah, just visualizing that release, that dissolving of the cord, for the highest and greatest good of both people, and then just filling back in with your own light is very important because you're releasing. There may be like this hole of sorts, and so just imagining like that healing golden or white light coming back in to fill the space and to kind of strengthen the area is how I kind of run through it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like that's
Mhm.
a good exercise to do too, because sometimes you're unaware of, like, the cords that you might be holding with certain people,
Yeah,
but just releasing those really kinda resets your energy with them and
yeah,
boundaries, energetic
yeah.
boundaries.
And I feel like too, you'll probably see effects of that. Like, I think the people that we're attached to do really pick up on when something shifts energetically, even if they're not as
Yeah.
active in this type of work. Like,
Mhm.
you might, I don't know, like, you never know. Someone might call you, they might text you, be like, are you all right? Like, you just never know. I feel like funny little things happen
Oh,
when
yeah.
you release cords. Um, it's really interesting. So
Mhm.
I'd say play with it. Play with it and let us know what
Yeah,
happens.
fun stuff. Let's see. So, with that, I kinda wanna just quickly go over, like, when you're entering, like, crowded spaces, where you don't
Mhm.
really have a lot of control of, like, what energy is coming in and out, like, how do you protect yourself in those situations? I know a lot of people have, like, social anxiety, um, But it really is because, all those energies and maybe you don't know how to like really stand strong in your own. But some
Mhm,
tools I like to do is like kind of like how an athlete warms up before a game, they stretch, they jog. Um I like to warm up for like social things. So, um really anchoring myself, like grounding myself and um doing mantras just to kind of like remind myself, to be in my body. Um
mhm,
And then when I'm there, I like to wear something, like, specific to me, like a little beaded bracelet or something, and I just make a note, like, every time I touch this bracelet, I'm gonna ground or I'm gonna reset my energy, and it's just kinda like a little reminder to breathe and stay present.
mhm. I love
Um
that. That's such a
Mhm.
simple association to make too.
Yeah.
Like, once you kind of set it in your brain, it's like that repetitive, easy thing to do.
Mhm.
I love that.
Yeah. So do we have any cards that kind of represent what we've been discussing today?
Yes, let's do our cards. Okay. So, as usual, folks, here we are. We have our three
Mhm.
cards. For anyone just listening, we'll walk through one, two, and three. So just take a minute to take few deep breaths, and I will hold them up for our people that are watching. So we've got one, two, and three. So anything that you feel called to. Card number one is the stability card. And I'll kind of run through a little explanation of what we've got in this card. So we see this house kind of floating on a rope above. The rope's connected to two trees. They look like very sturdy trees, but the house is kind of on this rope and it kind of has this energy pulsing off of it. Above it, we have, the leaves of the trees. We've got some acorns. Below it, we have some, I think, dandelions and a little squirrel that are underneath the house. Um, and so, what this kind of we thought of kind of related to this topic is, if you chose this card, maybe it's an indication that you need to look at the foundation of where your home sits. Like, what is it resting on? How stable is it? Your energy of your inner foundation, and maybe your home literally too, like the energy within your home or your spaces like we were talking about. Where is there somewhere that maybe you need some strengthening or some balancing, or even just evaluating, what you're tied to give you that sense of foundation. What do you think, Kay?
Yeah, also, like, where are you being pulled, right? So maybe,
Mm.
you're gonna kind of being pulled away from being in that centered kind of place.
Mhm.
So just like doing a tidy up of what home really is for you. And that could be just, the space where you feel safe or a space where you go when you meditate, or like Rawson
Yeah.
said, like your actual home. But definitely like an energetic tidy.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that. What is home to you, and
Mhm.
how strong is that for you? And I think too, a lot of like what we were speaking about earlier, the more you work with your own energy and kind of identify what's yours, you'll have that confidence of when you walk into an area where you might feel overwhelmed, you'll be able to identify like what's yours and what's theirs or what's external. So I think this card kind of speaks to that too, of what's home within yourself versus what's not. Card number two is our integrity card. So if you chose card number two, having a hard time looking at it on the screen. Um, this card is this woman. She has a sword in one hand and kind of this like, I don't know, feathered like whip kind of thing in the other hand. And she has this belt, and on her belt are these ribbons of all the colors of the chakras. And she's just like total badass mode, basically. She's very kind of fierce looking, strong. and she's just totally standing in her integrity. And so I think in pulling this card, if you chose this one, this might be nodding to the fact of needing to kind of stand in your strength, maybe make those cuts with that sword of sorts to, really uh, clear out what needs to be cleared out, and have the strength to make those adjustments with your energy within your space, and know that, as you're clearing out, that your chakras, your body, everything will align and really become more clear and strong. What do you
Yeah,
think?
for sure. I think with integrity, like, of the self, I feel like when you are aligned in that way, you really trust yourself, not only, like, literally, but, like, energetically, and you
Mhm.
trust your intuition more. And I know we will get into this too in a little bit, but, like, I feel like you really do move differently, and there are a lot of benefits in protecting your space and what that kinda manifests and looks like,
Yeah.
when you are doing that. And I think that that's what that card kinda represents.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm,
All right. And card number 3. So we have the release card. And in this card, we see this female figure. And behind her, she has like one of her hands up, which is interesting. It's kind of like, I don't know, a deflecting kind of hand.
mhm,
And we see behind her this like kind of like wine glass of liquid that's kind of in the glass and then kind of spilling out. There's a bunch of coins behind her in the air. So it's kind of like she's letting go. Maybe she's thrown the glass. I don't know. Who knows how dramatic she is. Um, but if you've pulled this card, I would say this might be sort of another flavor to needing to release and clear out. To this, it kind of feels more emotionally driven. What emotions that you hold do you need to release? And it feels much more personal versus the integrity card that might have been a bit more external in a way, like reacting to external things.
mhm.
This feels a bit more internal, but it is really interesting because the liquid, we think of emotion, the coins, we think of opportunities and things like that. So, maybe there are some things that need to be released that you had in mind or that you were holding on to. And sometimes that is opportunities and certain paths. What do you think, Kate?
Yeah, I think also, like, dropping into the softness of how things could be
Mhm.
without being so rigidly working against things, like, with so much willpower, but just, like, dropping into, like, the divine feminine and, like, really
Mhm.
just releasing and letting it go and letting, like, the energy do the talking. I think that's really powerful when you could do that.
Yeah, I like
Mhm,
that you say that because I think that that is different from the integrity card as well. There is a softness that comes with the release card versus the integrity card that feels like a lot of action.
mhm.
So yeah. So those are our cards. Card number 1, stability, card 2, integrity, and card 3, release. So let us know what you chose, what maybe needs to be evaluated, how you kind of feel like that card might have spoken to you. We'd love to hear it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. From there, I'd like to kinda get into, like, what does it look like in your energy when you do have those energetic boundaries up and you are clearing your space versus when you're not? Like, what does that kind of look like, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, I think there was a lot of time where I didn't realize just how um misaligned I was. I think we've kind of noted this a little bit so far. Um there is a tendency to feel anxiety, just feeling out of balance, just not maybe fully yourself when your energetic boundaries are low or not, in place. Maybe you've never thought of it before. Um, and we kind of feel like we said earlier, when we walk into a room, we're affected by everybody in the room and we can't help it. It's like we just totally suck in everybody else's energy. You might also feel a little bit more emotional when your boundaries are less active, less strong. like you kind of can't get a grip of a stable spot within yourself. Um, and so there's that sense of overwhelm. Maybe we don't really feel like ourselves. It can even lead into situations where you don't have full authority over yourself. Maybe you have a hard time saying no. Maybe you have a hard time removing yourself from these environments that you're starting to understand may drain your energy.
Mhm.
Yeah. Do you have any other examples of maybe something that you've
Yeah.
encountered?
I think just, like, observing too, I feel like a lot of young people, like, really young, like, maybe just getting out of high school or out of college, like, have
Mhm.
a hard time, like, finding their path or purpose, and I think that's because sometimes when you don't have those energetic boundaries, you kinda get pulled in a lot of directions, and you
Yeah.
don't know which is truly yours? But I feel like once you kind of master protecting your energy and having those boundaries, it's way easier to just be aligned and be on your path and
Mhm.
have a lot more clarity in life,
Yeah.
for sure.
I feel like too with that, it's kind of the difference between feeling maybe like you're floundering versus feeling like when you're exploring.
Mhm.
Like, because
Yeah.
I think it is important to um put yourself out of your comfort zone, right? Put
Mhm.
yourself into the situations that make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, where maybe in the past, your energy could be influenced. But when you do kind of work at getting your energetic boundaries stronger, really knowing what it feels like to be in your better state, your higher state, your protected state, um, yeah, it feels a lot more like exploration rather than just kind of like floating around, kind of like, I
Yeah.
don't know,
Feels
and
like
you can be,
adventure.
yeah,
Yeah.
adventure. It's something to be
Mhm.
excited about, versus worried about how it might feel or anything like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, when our boundaries are aligned, when we are more protected, we do feel more balanced emotionally, mentally. Things don't seem to be as overwhelming. And we might be able to say, when something does come at us that has the potential of affecting us, triggering us, whatever it might be, um, we can stay kind of sovereign to ourselves and release it and respect the situation, but just kinda let it roll off the back a lot easier when we know that we're stronger in our energetic boundaries.
Yeah.
Um, it's just kind of like this level of healthy detachment from situations.
Mhm.
Um, and in a really beautiful way, it shows the importance of kind of putting yourself first,
Mhm.
not in any sense of selfishness, but just knowing that when you show up for yourself and you take care of yourself, whether that's physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, giving yourself what you need really does, fuel and feed the energy within and kind of helps you really align and get to that place where you can really show up in the world feeling confident and powerful and strong, and like you said, the path kind of becomes more clear when
Mhm.
you're in that state
Yeah.
versus
I feel
out of
like
whack.
I feel like people notice too when you're in that state because the world actually starts showing up differently for you, like things start
Mhm.
to open up and people will treat you differently. You'll probably notice. So I think people recognize when there's a hole that they can kind of get into.
Yeah.
When people have like energetic leaks or low life force, they're a little bit more easy to be like manipulated or be people pleasers and
Yeah.
people who um take advantage of others kind of pick up on that, but they also pick up on the confidence and the energetic boundary, that one has when you do protect yourself in that way.
Mhm. Yeah. I think it would be also really interesting if you're listening to this and thinking like, I kind of feel like I'm in between both, or I don't
Mhm.
really know. Is my energy like, am I not protecting myself? Just kind of experiment with it. Like, take a day and be really mindful about doing these kind of energetic practices that we laid out and see how your day goes, see how people interact with you. And then on a different day, don't do any of it and kind of see how things, you know, shift and change and how the world's kind of, playing around in your playground with you and just see. what happens and take note. And hopefully you'll see that, when you do kind of work with yourself and your energy, it makes a big difference.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think, with that, I have a little exercise, an experiment for everyone listening to try.
Yay.
It's called, like, an energetic budget, right? So, take note at the end of the day on a note card, 3 things that really charged you and gave you energy, and 3 things that really drained you. And then give them a score from, like 1 to 3, and then the negative ones are negative, positive or positive, and then see what your score is, and then the next day, try to raise that number. Try to do more things that charge you and raise you up rather than things that kinda drain you and take you down.
Mhm. I think that would be really fun to play with.
Mhm.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm thinking of, like, the things that I know charge me
Mhm.
versus the things that maybe I don't realize.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like, on my charge list, meditation,
Yeah.
going for a walk outside, being around people that light me up,
Mhm.
things like that. Maybe having, like, a really good meal that you love, just, like, all the things that raise your energy and make you feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
fun.
I think for me, it's like moving my body, like
Mhm.
either dancing around, singing, laughing. Those are all things that really kind of charge me up.
Yeah.
And that's something I could do alone too, just like thinking about stuff that makes me laugh or being an appreciation. And then on the other hand, there's just certain people, that you have a phone call with and they dump or want to vent and you don't always have the capacity to listen. Some people can be draining. Sometimes the what we consume could be a little draining because sometimes
Yeah.
I'll admit, even me, I'm like scrolling, on Instagram, and after a while, I'll sit there and like, wow, okay, so that was like 5 minutes of scrolling, and I feel empty, like like
Yeah.
suck the soul out of me, kind of. So
Yeah.
yeah, that is
It
not
happens so
fulfilling.
fast.
I know,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I like that. I think too, like, and this has to be handled delicately, right? The people that really drain us.
Hmm.
Maybe experimenting with ways of how to detach from those types of conversations. Um, and set some boundaries with the people that maybe have taken advantage or know that they can call you and kind of spew all of their issues or things.
Hmm.
Yes, there's things we can do on our end that we can walk into those conversations feeling a little stronger, but there are very real moments where you might need to say, like, hey, love you. I'm having a rough day too.
Hmm.
Maybe we can talk about this at blah, 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 X day
Yeah.
and time tomorrow. And maybe we should do it over coffee. Maybe, like just shifting how you're interacting with those people, kind of start those boundaries. Cause like we said, like when you're releasing cords, people feel it, but it
Hmm.
also goes the other way too. Like you
Yeah.
do need to set boundaries with people that often take advantage. And that's perfectly justified and
Hmm.
perfectly healthy.
Yeah.
And I think being honest about it is a kindness in itself.
Hmm.
But yeah, don't be afraid to set some boundaries.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Sometimes I'll kind of, start the conversation with, "Hey, I'm expecting a call, like, in the next 30 minutes. If they call, I gotta hop off," but
Hmm. Yep,
yeah,
that's a good
sometimes you have to have
one.
an exit plan, but being honest always works better. Yeah.
I like the exit plan, exit
Mhm.
strategy. Know your way out.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it for today unless you have anything else, Roslyn.
No, I feel like we left a lot of great nuggets. I think there's lots of things that I'm gonna play with too. Like,
Yeah.
I really like the kind of the running tally of what charges and what takes away and trying to get that score into the positive. Um, yeah, I really encourage people to kind of play with some of the meditations that we brought up and visualizations of ways to really walk into environments or um, tidy up places even in the mind that need some love and attention. and just see how that really affects you. Our energetic boundaries are really, they can be really delicate, but they can also be really powerful and strong. And it really does affect how we feel and experience the world around us. So, yeah, that's exciting. And I hope people will get involved and let us know how they feel. And we'll come back next time too and kind of
Yeah,
talk about what we did.
I'll also add, like, it is a really, like, valuable thing to do, and it's really, like, fulfilling when you could really step into your own energy and, like, just have those boundaries and see how different life really feels,
Mhm.
when you're not in that space of just things coming at you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. It's very exciting.
Alright, see you guys next time.
Bye.